Hey, what's up? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 14 of Movie Dumpster. Today we're talking Titanic II from 2010, directed by Shane Van Dyke. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor, fuck you, Shane McGraw.
Welcome to the dumpster.
For God's sakes, James, I know looks can be deceiving, but can I remind you this is Titanic II? This ship is equipped with state-of-the-art ice detectors that'll sound if we get within 500 yards of an ice cube.
Hayden, this wave is clocking in at 843 miles per hour. Now, 500 yards isn't going to make a damn bit of difference. Now, you get hit by any ice, it's going to tear your ship in half.
I demand the floor.
Take it away, Sam.
Haven't heard that in a while.
This is the sound of my notebook. There it is. There's the sound of my notebook flying across the room, because I'm going to tell Shane Van Dyke something from the heart right fucking now, okay?
Chim chimney chim chim chiroo?
Dear fuckface, okay? You had the audacity, the fucking grapefruit-sized testicles to make an exploitative, nonsensical movie called Titanic II that is so aggressively middle of the road and not special that my feelings are actually hurt, okay? You could have had the maiden voyage of this sequel ship get sunk by fucking Cthulhu. It could have been attacked by Martians. It could have been a giant baby underwater who lifted his big fucking stupid hand up and smacked it in half. You could have done anything. I don't care if it was a fucking Sharknado that ripped this boat apart. But no, you just had icebergs come at the ship instead of the ship come at the icebergs. Jump into a fucking volcano.
He's bringing the icebergs to us. Right, though? It should have been like a fucking sea serpent or something. The sharktopus or whatever. That would have been better, right?
Give me the devilfish from Mr. Science Theater.
Yeah, there you go.
Full of fake Italians who said they're Floridians. Anything other than this plain-ass vanilla ice cream B movie that would love to be a B movie, but it's really not at all.
No, it's not. And it's just like, how many times can we look back? How many times can we look backwards and talk about the first Titanic?
How many times can we say the words Titanic 2 in the course of a film?
I think they had to say Titanic 2 TM because if they said Titanic, they would get sued.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, and I think they can get away with calling this Titanic 2 because they go, oh no, it's the ship's name. Not the name of the movie. It's not a sequel.
It's just the name of the ship.
It's a love letter. Hard, cringy grin.
Titanic TOO.
Yeah, that's it. Shane Van Dyke. Apparently the grandson of Dick Van Dyke.
That shit's blowing my mind, man.
If I was Dick Van Dyke, like the moment this dude's name popped up on like one of the first of these, we'll talk about Asylum Pictures in a second, but like the first time one of these movies came out with his name on it, like I would roll up to his house with a fucking shovel and beat him with it.
I didn't even obviously I'm familiar with the name Dick Van Dyke, of course, but like never in my head was like, oh, that you think they're related? Like I'm like talking to myself, like you think they're related? Like that never crossed my mind at all.
Because it's so this is so divorced from anything relevant or important or good. It would be like if I popped in one of these fucking movies and I saw the words, like, it was, like, directed by Jerry Spielberg. I'd be like, there's no way they're related. And then it turns out they were. I'd be like, what in the fuck?
Because Steven would have him killed. You know? Tarnish the family name? I don't think so.
It shows up with George Lucas in tow with baseball bats.
Hey, I heard you were making a bad movie. Come here real quick. I want to show you something.
I heard you're selling my friend Steven's name. I melted down the $4 billion I got from Disney and put it into his baseball bat.
He walks around with a peacemaker.
I'm gonna beat the Spielberg out of you. You'll just be called Jerry.
They're gonna call you nothing anymore, ever again.
You'll be dead.
He sure wouldn't be making Titanic 2, that's for sure.
Okay, so this movie is from what is now, I guess, rather ubiquitous studio name, Asylum Studios.
Yes.
Who I knew about Asylum Studios before I ever saw one of their movies because I walked into a Blockbuster one day and saw a movie on the shelf that just said Transmorphers, and I was like, that is all I ever need to see from that film.
Oh, man.
I picked it up and looked at the back of the box. I saw a logo for a studio. Might have seen Shane Van Dyke's name, although I would read it several times in the later years because, like, this is just what the fuck he does.
I can't believe it. Like, I'm still floored from all of this because, like, again, like you said, like, like the first time I saw an Asylum film, I've never actually seen one. So this is the first one I've actually seen.
Yeah, same thing, but I've seen clips of them, and like, you walk by Redbox and go, oh, Thor Ragnarok came out. Oh, and look at that. Thor God of Thunder Part 3 is out. Asylum Pictures. I'm surprised.
Alien versus Hunter. Remember that one?
Yes. Or The Battle, of Los Angeles.
Yes. Or when Cloverfield came out, they had one called The Beast or some shit like that.
They did, yeah.
With like an octopus creature in the middle of New York.
Oh, and they had one, I swear to God, it was just called Atlantic Rim. I'm not even making that up. It's real. I've definitely laid eyes in that box before. Don't ask me to watch it. I never will.
Their sole goal is to just make ripoffs. And who is consuming this?
It's a tall task to make exploitation cinema look worse because exploitation cinema is just, it's in the name. It's exploitative. It's jumping on the bandwagon of a popular genre. We saw it in the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
It happened with Jaws. It happened with Escape from New York.
For sure.
It happens with everything. And this is like a brand new version of it. I wouldn't say brand new, but it's like the latest form of it, I would say, where it's just, let's just slap a name and a concept onto something that is just so shockingly similar to something that has already made a fuck ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to put in a quarter of an effort.
And see if we can confuse some people and they'll buy it.
Yes, we're going to confuse some old people and we'll get it out as soon as possible.
Like Ghostbusters. Yeah. I just want to point out, though, to the folks at home, this was actually something that was not even on our radar at all, and a fan actually sent this in as something we should check out.
Yes.
Were you trying to hurt us? Were you trying to help us? What was what was your objective there? Because I suppose where we did like our one Uwe Boll movie, and I don't see a reason for us to ever have to watch an Uwe Boll movie ever again.
I was considering Alone in the Dark, but
yeah, maybe even Postal.
Nah, I don't know about Postal.
I mean, Connor, you're already playing with fire by just inciting his name.
What is he gonna leap out of my closet?
He just might.
Don't say that, because I'm sitting in front of a mirror right now. He's gonna fucking get me.
What is he, fucking Bloody Mary? He's gonna come and get you?
Yeah.
He pops out from behind your coats. He's like, "Hello, would you like to come to my restaurant?"
He's looking for Michael Bay.
I'm the only movie maker ever.
I let my actors write their own scripts.
Well, actually, you know what? He already got rid of Michael Bay. I forgot he got snapped out.
That's right.
I suppose this is our like mandatory dip into the waters of this kind of movie, and like, there ain't a goddamn thing special about this movie.
No.
Except for the fact that when it is being inept, it's being gloriously inept.
Yeah.
But then when it's not doing that, you're like, who could give a shit what's happening right now?
Here's the thing with this movie. Now, I can't vouch for all of the other Asylum movies, but what this film does is take itself deathly seriously.
Oh, yeah.
That is part of my biggest issue with it.
Yeah, but this is why this works for me in terms of not being like, oh my God, I gotta turn this shit off. Like, I can't take it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, yeah, because every time there was something quote unquote serious happening was when I was paying the most attention.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, how are you gonna goof this?
Yeah.
And they succeeded every time.
I know, but like, it was also one of the things like, okay, where's the punch? Like, I'm looking for the punchline that's gonna just fucking fall flat on its face, and it never comes. It's just like, oh my God, I just can't believe they just did that in pure sincerity.
Yeah, and there's a few zingers that you think would be zingers, like people saying, looks like history's about to repeat itself.
Well, yeah.
No one looks the camera, and there's no, like, ironic musical cue.
Nope.
That's just dialogue.
Yeah, and it's completely straight.
You're waiting for, like, the pause for, like, laughter or effect. You're like, oh, you're just gonna roll with that. Okay.
So this movie is basically about some fucking millionaire makes, he builds Titanic II on the 100th anniversary of when the last ship fucking went down. And it goes on its maiden voyage, and the fucking stars align, and it gets hit by an iceberg.
Sure does.
It doesn't hit an iceberg. That is important to note.
Yeah, an iceberg hits them.
It gets hit by an iceberg.
Twice!
An iceberg the size of Rhode Island, by the way.
Because global warming.
You know how fucking big Rhode Island is?
It's bigger than a cruise ship.
So this millionaire, like, builds this Titanic. I don't even know why he does this. We're not given any context clues to why this is all actually happening.
No.
That's because there's no characters in this movie.
No.
There's talking heads.
Yes, there's people saying things.
I don't know anybody's name. I don't know where anybody comes from.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Some of these names are pretty good.
Yeah.
Specifically one.
There's a Hayden, I think.
He's the main character, who's also the fucking director.
The focal point of my ire.
This guy is stroking his ego the whole fucking movie.
This Keith Urban looking motherfucker.
Okay, I raised your Keith Urban with, he looks like Kevin Bacon entered the transporter from The Fly, and then and then Carrie Always tripped and fell in there with him.
That's pretty good. I was going to say he's a lost Busey, but I think that takes the case.
Oh, man.
I mean, quite frankly, I think the three of us just took a heaping shit in his appearance, so I think we're done with that.
The movie actually opens on this fucking, like, drone shot of this fucking ice, these fucking icebergs and these, like, plains of just ice. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what is this, the fucking North Beyond the Wall? Like, what are we looking at here?
What we're looking at is Pond 5 stock footage, because all of that was bought to fill this movie out.
Yeah, I was waiting for James Bond to surf across.
I was waiting for Jon Snow and the fucking wildlings to show up. It's, like, intercut with this fucking character that I swear to God looks like Tim Heidecker. Stretching and putting on his fucking swimsuit so he can, or his bodysuit so he can go surfing in this fucking ice cold water.
So he can go surfing in this completely waveless water?
I don't even know where the fuck this guy is, like, getting into the water from.
Yeah.
There's no boat, there's no ship, there's no plane, there's no shore. He doesn't have a dinghy. He's not hanging out on a buoy. Nothing.
No, he's just green screened against the ocean and then jumps in the ocean from nowhere. And I'm like, why is this man surfing? Wait, are we in Iceland or Greenland or some shit?
I guess.
I think we're in Greenland. And this guy jumps in the water and is seemingly waiting. He's freezing his ass off, seemingly waiting for this glacier to break to make waves so he can surf them? Is that what we're doing?
Because he has a death wish, is just what I think. Like, because that's not, like, if I'm, let's say I'm some kind of extreme sports participant. Like, I'm not going to go sit by an active volcano and go, wait for the lava to roll down. I'm going to surf down it.
Why would we open the movie with this stupid fucking... Like, this is your, like, what's going on?
They got to get their body count up, man.
Yeah, but they're like, what's going on here? Oh, the fucking the fucking glacier's cracking and fucking making giant waves in the Atlantic Ocean? Holy shit. Why wasn't it, like, somebody ice fishing and then, like, the fucking, like a glacier breaks and then, like, a wave hits them, like a shock wave, and, like, kills them or something?
Drop a fucking satellite into it or something.
Or like an underground earthquake?
I don't care if it was the same satellite from fucking Crocodile Hunter who came sailing to the goddamn sky and hit this thing, okay?
Think that's what happened. Maybe?
Maybe.
Prequel?
Maybe they're the half of that spaceship. I don't care if it was a satellite of love and Mike Nelson walked off of it, okay? Like...
It's that fucking droid that Han Solo shoots in Empire just fucking crash landed there.
Fucking Imperial probe droid.
But yeah, this fucking ice, this part of this glacier breaks off and hits the water, and this fucking surfer just gets hit by this massive wave and is immediately killed.
Yeah, and he's first, like, it falls, and then he's shocked and horrified as if he expected something else to happen.
Yeah, but he surfs the first one, and he loves it.
Yeah, he surfs the first one, and then turns around, sees the second killer wave coming at him, and then just doggy paddles away. Like, he's like, oh no, plip, 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 and then just gets murdered.
He rides this glacier wave, and then, like, falls off of his surfboard, and then just starts, like, fist pumping, like he was so, like, hyped. Like, this is a thing? I wonder if this is a thing that people do.
They do.
Do they really?
I used to work with a guy that used to surf professionally, and he said it's like some of the best waves you can get.
Really?
There's a word to use there. It's like, let's wait and behold one of the symptoms of this dying planet and go, ride the wave!
Basically, like, yeah, man, can't wait for some global warming, dude. Fucking catch the tube.
Just sounds so insane to me. I mean, do what you want, but...
Also, the process of that is incredibly slow. and to think that you're sitting in, like, what? How cold is that water?
It's gotta be like in, 0.
Negatives.
It is fuck off degrees.
It is. You'll lose your breath if you fall into that water.
My balls fell off 30 feet ago degrees.
You will die in a half hour, even in a wetsuit, and seemingly no way to get back to shore. But anyway,
After douching McNobody is killed by a fucking glacier wave, I think we're hit with like our first instance of like just putrid CGI.
first instance, there is shit compositing happening this whole time. Like I said, like
I mean, there's a lot of it, but then when like an object is in motion,
oh god,
it's not just like it's not part of the back end. You're like, is that from the Wii?
These waves are like on top of real footage. Like composited over with like a mask.
Oh, there's a lot of compositing like really terrible looking stuff against either actors or just like really bad, seemingly unfinished special effects.
Yeah, like I don't know, you guys can do better than that. And it's just like this looks so fucking like they use like a low res stock animations and then put it over like higher res footage and then composited it like shit.
Yeah, some of it looks like 3D clip art.
Yeah, it's so fucking bad. Like I can't even explain it properly.
Like you gotta see it to believe it kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
I think we meet Senator Kelly before he was murdered by Magneto.
Bruce Davison, man. Here's the thing, like I like Bruce Davison a lot.
Yeah, he's not bad.
But man, in this movie, he looks like he wants to drown himself in the bathtub.
He's in one of my favorite Tales from the Dark Side episodes, Word Processor of the Gods.
Yeah, and this, I'm reading this line, okay, then I shall read the line.
There's some points where he has a brain fart in the middle of his lines, I feel like it's not like a dramatic pause. Like I think he like forgets what he's going to say.
Oh, there's a lot of sequences where you can watch him just get caught in the electrical field seemingly in the middle of a sentence where he's like, well, we have to get to the Is there
like a teleprompter in front of him and whoever's running it is just not like scrolling it fast enough and he's just sitting there blankly staring?
Maybe.
There's so many shots of him where he's not, like someone's talking to him and he's never looking at anyone.
No.
He's constantly looking either left or right or directly straight, and there's people behind him over his shoulder who are just talking to his back.
Oh yeah.
He's like, yup. Yes, I shall. We will. It will happen.
I feel like he might be composited into these fucking shots with these people because it's like, okay, we got Bruce for a day. Put him in front of the green screen and get all of his dialogue.
Are you saying he's like what's his nuts from In Pursuit, where they had him show up for a day in a Hawaiian shirt and that's all that happened?
Yeah, Dean Stockwell. Yeah, and they're just like, all right, we're gonna shoot all your fucking scenes in one day, Dean.
Okay, I'm not taking my shirt off. All right, whatever. Do what you want.
Costume change. That's not in the contract.
That's not. I'm here for a day, and I will wear this all day.
So Bruce Davison gets a fucking call from...
He gets his call from Brooke Burns, from this Dr. Patterson woman, but this actress, she was like on Baywatch for 3 years.
Was she really?
Yeah, she looked familiar. Like, a lot of the other women who show up look familiar because I know I've seen them in, like, Z-grade trash before, or stuff that was, like, prominent in the 90s. Like, if Nicolette Sheridan walked up and, showed up in one of these things, like, I wouldn't be shocked.
At what point... These are adults, okay? These aren't, like, high school kids. These are, like, 40-somethings making films. And at what point are you like, isn't this stupid?
You're waiting for these guys to have a spiritual awakening? This is dumb.
I don't know how you can get behind something like this and say, like, this is great.
Well, when your grandpappy is Dick Van Dyke, you can just do it because you got the money.
I think you may actually be on the nose there, because I think if someone walks up and says, Dick Van Dyke's grandson wants to make a movie about the Titanic, you'd probably go, well, fuck yeah. And maybe if you haven't worked in a number of years, you might do that sight unseen. And then you show up and you go, oh, this is a circus.
Or you've never seen an asylum movie.
Yeah, could go either way.
I feel like that happens a lot where, these studios and these directors and shit like talk this stuff up and these people don't even realize what they're getting into.
I feel like it happens to Lance Henriksen the most, where he just shows up somewhere, he's like, I've been had again.
Look, Lance fucking knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Or it's just a matter of like, hey, we were doing a movie that was like really long and we need something in between just to kind of pay the bills that's going to be a short shoot. And they just, that's Bruce Davison. This is why he's in this movie. He needed a quick paycheck.
Hey, I get that too. I totally understand that.
I feel like Lance Henriksen shows up somewhere, he's like, all right, I'm here to film this brand new film, the Kickstarter franchise. They go, yeah, we lied, it's Pumpkinhead 14. He's like, no!
I play Ed Harley again?
You know, if Pumpkinhead sank this ship, I'd be happy.
Oh my god, if he showed up, there you go.
He just starts biting the ship in half.
For whatever reason, he just fucking pops out of the fucking water, and there he is.
So Mania, he gets a call from Patterson, and he's like, all right, I'll be there as soon as I can. And he goes to the fucking helipad on top of this Coast Guard building. He gets in, he goes to the pilot, he goes, Snipes, I'd only go with you.
Yeah. Get me Snipes. And then Wesley's like, nah, man, I'm good.
Call me when they're doing Blade 4, okay?
You know Marvel's gonna call him soon.
Is Kevin Feige looking for me yet?
I need all my fucking pay pre-tax, please.
So yeah, him and his buddy Snipes, who is named for no reason because he's not important.
Nah, he gets Brad fucking Vickers, to tell you the truth.
Well, we'll get to it in a little bit, but there's a very weird Resident Evil connection coming up very soon.
The one where on the boat, Revelations.
Yeah, right, exactly. I wish that's what this is. Fucking zombies coming out eating people.
Why couldn't they have sunk the ship?
That would have been better. Titanic 2 with zombies? Like, that's what I expect from movies like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, Titanic 2 with zombies.
This movie kind of Medea'd us in that department.
Sure did.
I think we all went in expecting something ludicrous and just got like this.
It's still pretty ludicrous.
I expected some kind of ice giant to fucking erupt from somewhere and decimate this thing or terrorize this boat. But anyway.
So we get, I think from there we cut right to the stupidly long departure, well, the boarding and departure sequence.
These people are waving for a fucking, a cool half hour while we set up all these characters.
Also, these people are bored.
Oh, yeah. And there's like 5 people, and they're just using the same shot of them every time.
Call me superstitious, but there is no fucking way in hell you're gonna get me in a boat named Titanic II. I don't care if they're giving away fucking $1 million checks just for going on the first voyage. I'm staying home.
Wasn't there a news article a couple years ago or something like that? Like someone proposed the idea.
Oh yeah, no, they're working on it. I don't know if there's any correlation in this. Maybe that was Shane Van Dyke's fucking plan all along. He's just gonna get the SEO from the fucking actual boat.
This is current events, dude. Like, this new Titanic is getting ready to launch in the next couple years or some shit. Just the stigma around the name alone is enough to fucking put the bad juju on this fucking thing.
You're not poking the sleeping bear, you're sticking your dick in the universe's eye. Don't fucking do that. This is so stupid.
You're creating like some kind of fucking interdimensional tulpa that's gonna just fucking destroy this thing. So we're making Titanic 2, right? Why are we making the same fucking boat again?
I don't know.
Because that was the stock 3D model that they found, was the actual Titanic.
That's the actual reason.
I actually read that the boat they're using for the departure sequence, the one that's docked, is a real docked boat that I guess is docked to look like Titanic.
Okay.
It's got a name and everything, but I don't think it ever actually leaves. It just stays there.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, but like when this thing thing leaves port, that is a fucking CG model if there ever was one.
Oh yeah.
Looks like some PS1 shit.
It is a block with smokestacks. That's all it is. It's a red and white fucking Lego with four chimneys.
We get introduced to these two characters, Amy and Kelly. They're basically nurses on the ship.
Ugh.
They're nurses?
Question fucking mark.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
There's only 2 of them, and there's no doctor.
Yeah, on the whole boat of like, it gotta be a couple thousand people.
Also, that really makes my blood boil considering something medical related that happens later on.
There's a few medical things that happen specifically with these women, and I want to just be like, who certified you?
Nobody.
Well, their whole thing is like Amy is Captain Maine, which is Bruce Davison. He's her father, and the guy that built this ship, this fucking Hayden character, the director of the film, they used to be together.
Yeah, but, like who could care though?
I know.
It's completely inconsequential because the fact that they're father and daughter doesn't have any effect on anything except for the fact that he's like, well, gotta go rescue my daughter with this cockamamie rope plan.
It brings that the angle of view to such a fucking small degree.
You took what's supposed to be a disaster film and you zoomed in too close.
Way too close. I think that, but they had to. You know what I mean? Even though, see, that's the catch-22 of this film, because it's like, we're keeping it small, but we're going fucking big, baby. Look at these CG fucking rockets and shit.
I think they wanted, like, their own Poseidon adventure, which I saw the remake of Poseidon, didn't hate it, kind of liked it.
No, it's pretty good, actually.
And I think that movie, Kurt Russell's whole thing is like, yeah, he's trying to save his daughter, but his daughter's with him the whole time.
Well, yeah.
And there's drama that comes from them trying to navigate through a fucking capsized ship.
Right.
This is like, he's like, I'm 30 minutes away, I'm 15 minutes away, I'm 5 minutes away, here I am.
Yeah, give me fucking this boat sinking and sharks coming inside the boat and they gotta fucking fend them off or something.
And then they put knives in their teeth and they fight them with their bare hands underwater.
That's fine. Put a fucking laser beam on their head.
And then LL Cool J comes out with a fucking frying pan.
You ate my bird.
And he somehow cheats death 11 billion times.
Doesn't pass out from gas inhalation.
Nope.
Doesn't fucking blow himself up from a spark.
Doesn't exsanguinate from getting his thigh chomped on by a giant, smart shark that digs into his carotid artery. Like,
Yeah, fuck it, man. He's indestructible.
So yeah, it's over long. Like it's I would say almost 10 minutes of just people getting on the fucking boat, and at some point Hayden does walk up with two nondescript women in tow.
Two?
He flies in on a helicopter.
And he fucking comes out with 4 women on his fucking sides.
This is where I came up with the fucking Kevin Bacon, Carrie Elways thing, because he walked up, I'm like, that's a bacon face, but then he turned like to a profile, I'm like, now you're Dr. Gordon. What's happening?
And what is with this music?
Yeah.
It's like a MIDI rock, like fart rock song?
It's just one guy on a keyboard.
Yeah. And I'm like, is that more like you couldn't afford to just fucking pay $35 for like an actual song?
Well, they had to, Shane Van Dyke, he had to get all these extra women for him to, grope for the movie because, he had to stroke his ego for 90 minutes.
Oh my God.
Well, there's that, and he had to have water in one scene. I'm sure that $35 went to that one small room where he was like, let's sit in a fish tank and pretend we're stuck in an elevator.
Oh my God. Fill it up. It has to fill up. Just like in the movie. The other movie.
It's not a real thing. It's only a space about 2 feet wide, but fill the water to my chin. Anyway, so yeah, he walks up and they have like this odd banter between him and girlfriend.
Well, ex-girlfriend, yeah. And he basically, I forget if she asks him or another character mentioned, he's like, why does it look like the Titanic? Isn't that like bad idea? And he's like, well, it's just the exterior. It actually, it all works like a new ship on the inside.
But we'll never show you.
Nope, we sure don't. And he's like, oh, are those the lifeboats? And he's like, no, man, we got really good lifeboats in the bottom of the ship.
They're the best lifeboats ever. They have jetpacks.
They are like mini submarines.
They look like the fucking submarine you had as a kid in the bathtub.
Yeah, they look like the Nickelodeon Award.
Oh, yeah, the one Magnus Subansky got for farting?
Yeah, the Kids' Choice Awards.
He might as well look at the camera and said, like, we have 72 arcades inside with 47 spas and artificial intelligences that'll see your every need. It wouldn't matter because you never see any of it.
We spared no expense on the fucking lifeboats because we got a VFW ballroom we're gonna shoot in.
Fuck lifeboats. This thing's unsinkable. We learned no lessons. Yeah.
At one point he's like, oh, because there's like lifeboats on the outside. He's like, oh, that's just for decoration. They don't even float. And I'm like, yeah, they will. They're buoyant unless they're made out of lead.
They're like paper thin. He's like, yeah, if you even try to climb into it, your foot just goes right through it. That's how he designed it.
They're made out of paper.
Even paper would float for a while. Like, what are these things made out of? Just fucking cement? Like, you get into it, just drops you right to the bottom?
It just exactly.
Well, they don't even float. What are they? They're just glorified anchors.
Just adding more weight to the ship.
So yeah, and then everybody fucking gets in the ship, and then a bunch of bad green screen actors wave to a bunch of other bad green screen actors while this ship moves, quote unquote, into the ocean.
I'm surprised their fucking arms didn't fall off by the time this fucking ship starts going, because they're waving the whole fucking time this happens.
Well, as they're leaving too, fucking Captain Maney calls Amy, and he's like, yeah. The Titanic II is not really a safe ship. It, like, barely passed inspection, so just be careful. And she's like, wait, what?
Yeah, fuck you, Dad. I need to do this. Question mark. What? We never get, like, a backstory to this woman except that she dated this guy, Hayden. That's it.
And that his dad died, and I guess he took over his company, and now he has Titanic II?
Yeah, but that's not her story. Her story's just like...
something about, like, yeah, it's his thing is, like, something about, like, oh, well, if you were handed the keys to the kingdom, you wouldn't say no, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so the keys of the kingdom was, like...
yeah, just like he did in real life.
Yeah, so the keys to the kingdom was, like, here's my last wish, son. Recreate this doomed voyage ship.
It's fucking Norman Osborn. Make the Titanic II.
I hate you, son. Here's my life's work. Goblin disease!
I got Billy Zane disease.
It'll happen to you, Dane DeHaan. Now go tell Andrew Garfield to give you his blood.
'Cause he's Spider-Man's.
Or something.
Whatever, fuck it.
If Green Goblin sank this ship, I'd be really happy.
The reason Amy and Hayden broke up is because apparently Hayden, like, took Bruce Davison's boat on a joyride at 2 a.m, and then, like, Bruce Davison was like, what the fuck, Hayden? And then punched him in the nose, and then they broke up.
That's rational.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but it's just, like, that's boring.
Why would you ever, like, hey, what'd you see in that guy? I don't know. He stole my dad's boat. My dad punched him. It was weird. Like, what do you...
It was weird. He's a bajillionaire. You know, my dad owns the Coast Guard or something.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. He's on the Stars team, but it doesn't matter.
So this fucking asshole is like walking around the ship with these women on his arm, and he's like right before the boat takes off, some chick comes up to him. She's like, "Oh my God, can I have your autograph?" And he's like, "What? Well, sure you can." And he just signs their hands. Like their palms are their hands.
I'll never wash this hand ever again.
He's like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Tammy." And he's like, "Oh, Tammy, that's a great name. You ever see that movie with the T-Rex?"
Oh my God.
Then Hayden, he gets up like he does like a fucking speech like he's like the mayor or something. He basically is like, you know, let's have a great voyage on the 100th anniversary, and he introduces this guy, this Captain Howard. Captain Will Howard of this fucking boat is D.C. Douglas. And Douglas is a pretty renowned voice actor. He, you know, I said there was a Resident Evil connection?
Oh my God, he's Albert Wesker.
He's Wesker?
Yeah, in a ton of games.
Oh my God.
That just blew my fucking mind.
He also did Legion in fucking Mass Effect. And he fucking voiced Eddie Gordo once.
What?
And he did the VO for X Drake for fucking One Piece. Like, he's done a ton of stuff.
Holy shit.
I can't believe, like, that dude is responsible for my only Twitter handle ever, and he's in this fucking movie.
Like, what?
Wesker Commander is, now that we're talking to this guy, you should all go track down a sketch he did where he's playing Wesker talking to Legion. It is bizarre, and he's voicing both characters.
And he's in this movie.
And he's in this fucking movie.
Why?
That's really strange. Like, of all the people who I've come across in, like, the various media formats, like, as far as talent goes, I didn't think this would be the cross-pollination.
No.
Another quick weird aside. The guy basically under the captain, this fucking Elmer character, who's like fucking pissing his britches over this fucking ship not being prepared to leave.
Yeah, dime store Chris O'Donnell.
Well, he's fucking Shane Van Dyke's older brother, Carrie.
Oh my God.
So what you're saying is this movie is just like, it's just nepotism through and through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but like the thing is, none of them can fucking act. That's the problem.
Oh, God, no.
At least Elmer had the fucking hindsight to just have a bit part.
Well,
Shane probably looked at him and said, like, look, you're bad, but you're worse than me, so I can only use you so much.
this is my movie,
This is my bad movie.
not yours. So he's just like, all right, let's make history on a green screen.
By same group of civilians, copied and pasted into several groups.
Then they ring the fucking bell.
Cue the fucking dude outside ringing the bell against a green screen. Blatantly, obviously, disgustingly composited like shit. And then, like, these fucking fighter jets and, like, fireworks explode over the fucking ship and, like, paint red, white, and blue in the sky. Oh my God, dude.
America.
Looks like fucking dog shit.
They float right by the Statue of Liberty, and then they, insert more stupid tropes that they can sail by.
Where the fuck is this boat?
I don't know.
How does it end up where it ends up if it's in New York right now?
And the depth of field, like, again, like, I can't make enough comments about the compositing because it's just like, did an intern do this? Did this effects work? Like, could you not just pay somebody a couple $100 to, like, make this decent?
Did Shane Van Dyke do it on his spare time?
If this is a novelty act, like, were you gonna sail out to the spot the ship sank and said, "Look, everybody, time to go home"?
You know what? Definitely don't book me on that fucking cruise. That's grade A fucking stupid. Like, what? No. Isn't this supposed to be, like, this bougie-ass, exclusive kind of thing?
You mean why are a bunch of schlubs walking on the ship?
Yes.
Yeah, people in socks and sandals and fucking cargo shorts.
If you really look at it from, I wouldn't even say a cynical point of view, but if you really wanted to take another layer out of this, like if you want to peel some back, the idea of taking a ship that killed thousands of people, in icy, frigid water. A lot of them are still on that boat, as far as we understand, underwater, just decaying over time. And then you said, oh yeah, come on, it's fucking cheap ass, everybody can come along. It's a tourist attraction. Seems really cynical.
Yeah, and there's not one kid on this boat.
Yeah, and super shitty. Like, it's like if you turned Auschwitz into an amusement park.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, it's super garbage, and I don't know why anyone would be okay with it.
It's also that, too, like, the exclusivity of this is just, like, non-existent. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but, like, that's what would happen. Like, your rich-ass scumbag motherfucking peoples would be buying all of the tickets up of this. Not fucking Mary from down the street who works at the ShopRite. You know what I'm saying?
This would be Fire Festival 2.0 with, like, 100% more casualties.
This boat should be like a giant floating casino.
This boat should cost me money to look at.
Yeah, right, exactly. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, it's super, super extravagant, and it just looks like a fucking hojo on the inside.
On the inside, it looks like a casino in Vegas.
It looks like a Howard Johnson.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Well, the pisser, too, is when the fucking boat finally does pull away, and they're trying to, I guess, show the scale of it. They have this other small boat in the water in front of it, and it looks like dog shit.
Because it's composited like asshole.
Yeah, it looks actually like not comparable in size, but I guess it's supposed to dwarf the ship.
Like, it's big, but it's not that big.
Okay, so the Titanic is like going. Excuse me, the Titanic II TM is going.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
I know. I'm gonna get sued.
Gonna have to pay the royalties.
It's going between this little boat and the Statue of Liberty, and like somebody doesn't know how to use like depth of field correctly, because it looks like everything is just right on top of each other, and like it's just like a flat shot.
It looks like a video game level from like Super Nintendo, where it's just several 2D objects just passing over each other, because one, this boat is also making no wake. There's the waves, the water's not moving. It's just slicing right through it like it's on a giant fucking like blade just carrying through the ocean.
Earthworm Jim has more depth than this scene.
So, yeah, after a brutal amount of time, the boat finally fucking takes off. And I think this is when we jump back to Senator Kelly as he's flying off to an iceberg.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, he stops by at Wilford Brimley's. They fucking land down.
I'm not an alien. You can pick me up in your helicopter. No, I'm out here by myself for no reason. My research team is not dead, burnt to a husk in a blown up facility somewhere.
It's just me among the wreckage. I don't know what else to say.
Who's McCready? I don't know who that is.
I've been living in a cocoon for the past 6 months. Come on.
That's not a noose. I don't know what you're talking about.
I just want to go to sleep in the ice. So fucking Bruce Davison goes out there, and he's like visiting the fucking expedition in the Mountains of Madness, and he's like, what are you guys doing out here?
He really is, though.
Yeah.
It's like this Dr. Patterson and her like assistant who doesn't even get a name because it doesn't matter.
Guy who falls through ice soon.
I object to your terminology, but we'll get there.
Well, she's like going on. She's saying, this ice falling, it's getting worse, and I'm predicting an iceberg the size of Rhode Island's gonna fall off eventually, and that's gonna be catastrophic for the entire Atlantic coast.
Senator Kelly's like, I love chowder. Rhode Island. What are you talking about? I'm not listening.
This is the worst. I hate when films do this, because like if you're gonna get all fucking scientific about it, don't you dare fucking get all pseudo-scientific on me, because this shit is garbage. They're like, yeah, well, if this fucking ice shelf breaks off into the ocean, it's gonna cause a fucking 9,000-foot tsunami that travels 1,000 miles an hour and pushes all the ice that's in the water towards things.
Well, she gives some like fucking analogy about, well, you ever throw a pebble in a river and see what happens?
You ever watch it ripple? When it falls in the water, ripples? You know what ripples are, right?
You ever see two dogs fuck and you try to keep them apart? That dog's gonna jump that fence and fuck that other dog.
Oh my god. And yeah, so like she's telling him this, and she walks him over to like this cliffside, I suppose. And first of all, you can look and go, man, look at those hard ass outlines against these fucking people. The matting is shit.
Ugh. Somebody went crazy with the feathering, and like most of these people are disappearing into the background. It's like, what the, like, what are you doing?
It's like MK Annihilation with the fucking guys flying, spinning in the air in the beginning, and they're like getting keyed out mid-jump.
Yes.
And that's embarrassing because that movie is from 1990, blah, and this is from 2010.
Yeah. Now, all of these things are available at our fingertips, but I guess just nobody wants to take the time to fucking learn these programs.
Kevin Smith said it best, that filmmaking has been democratized. Anybody can do it. You have access to a whole bunch of shit. There is some wild-ass consumer technology out there that Shane Van Dyke gloriously ignored.
I know, but, like, I own it. You know what I mean? And, like, again, but, like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, how many movies have you made? And it's like, well, none, because I don't have enough money or time at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Working on it. But, like, just because you took a camera out somewhere and filmed something and then put footage together for fucking an hour and a half doesn't mean it's a movie. You know what I mean?
If you painted a stick figure on the wall with human shit, I'm not obligated to like it because you tried.
Or call it art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I worked really hard on that.
How many stick figures of poop have you painted?
You gotta, like, mummy the hand.
So, yeah, they're staring at this fucking cliffside, and he's like, what am I looking at?
There's this big-ass chunk fucking missing. He's like, oh, that's not good.
She's like, yesterday's collapse. He's like, uh-huh.
Look at this Alamy stock photo. What I don't get it.
And behind them, this like science assistant man, whatever the fuck, is like filling cups of snow or ice or whatever the fuck he's doing.
He's taking snow samples? And I'm like, wait a second, is he like gathering snow to like make water?
I don't know. Is he making Slurpees?
Well, no, that's what I thought. Like, okay, gather some snow to make like water for everybody. And then it's just like, wait a second, these are like...
I'm saying he's putting them in like fucking Capsule Corp nonsense. Like,
yeah, they're like in like TCRI containers.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's like, I had to bring this to Umbrella.
Yeah. Las Plagas is frozen in the fucking ice.
Yeah, I gotta bring this to my fucking rich ass corporate evil overlords so they can find a way to weaponize it against some city.
He's fucking, manning the Titanic II right now, but I'll get it to him.
Coincidentally, the glacier starts to fall apart.
Yeah, but for like no reason. And she briefly mentions like global warming. It like a piece breaks off, and then like this other piece breaks off, and he's like, "Well, when's your next piece gonna break off?" She's like, "I don't know. In fact, right now." And then it happens. This is the Rhode Island sized chunk that comes off, by the way.
Yeah, and this dude collecting snow, this is where the movie really grabbed me. It was like, oh, you're going to do shit like this. Because before, when you said he falls into a crack, is accurate, but it's not exactly what happens visually, because this motherfucker is running left and right, and every time a new crack forms, he stops and has like a fucking reaction to it. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And then finally one appears beneath him, but to say he falls into it is not right, because he becomes a static image and is sucked into it is what happens.
It's like Tim and Eric. It's like Saul the Mole Man.
He gets poochied off screen, like he just kind of goes and just gets really kind of crudely sucked down in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. The assistant and Wilford Brimley just fall in a fucking hole. They're gone.
It looks so fucking bad, dude.
Yeah, it looks like he was sucked up by a vacuum cleaner.
It's one of those things, like, if you can't do it, why are we doing it? Like, don't do it. Like, you could have done something else to fudge it a little bit.
So then, yeah, Bruce Davison and Baywatch girl escape via helicopter, and that's where they stay for the rest of the film.
Every fucking shot here on out is in that helicopter, with the exception of the end.
Well, they go to get away, and the fucking helicopter almost gets hit by this friggin' wave. It's so high off the ground.
Yeah, this helicopter looks like it's made of CGI rubber, by the way. It is weird and puffy and like textureless. Like it looks like
polygons out the ass for this.
It looks like when you walk into a room in a video game and there's texture pop in, and like you're waiting for that wall hasn't loaded. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it hasn't rendered. There's like all jagged edges on it and shit.
So yeah, now this is the start of the actual disaster of the disaster film, because now we have this colossal piece of ice that is gonna fly towards our ship as opposed to our ship flying into it.
It's not even the piece of ice. It's a shock wave. Again, like she says before, you ever throw a fucking rock in a pond and the ripples? Well, it's like that. So imagine throwing a rock the size of Rhode Island into the Atlantic Ocean. And that's basically what we're doing here.
Mankind would die.
But we don't really ever see, like, the repercussions beyond what happens to the boat.
No, they're so worried about this fucking Titanic ship.
What about New Jersey? Is it just gone?
Right.
What about the east coast of North America and the west coast of Europe?
You know what? I think this is how Rumpelstiltskin ends up in California.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Son of a bitch.
Here it is. This was the missing link. This fucking wave has pushed him from the bottom of the ocean floor in Europe to the shores of California.
Are you implying that in the MDU that society is forever changed by a freak wave that hits the coasts of 2 continents?
You know.
I'm not going to say no.
Are you saying that this is like the Chitauri invasion, where like lots of stuff changed because this one thing happened?
I think so. This is why we needed to go back. We needed to go into the fucking quantum verse, the quantum realm, and fix this shit, because John just fucked it up, man.
Like, you somehow managed to get John Hurt in there?
Yeah, well, he's fucking drilling holes in the Arctic and leaving bombs.
Are you telling me that way off in the distance, as these two are fleeing the scene, there's John Hurt cackling with a jackhammer as he's just like, ah!
John Hurt's walking around there with a fucking space blanket because he thinks he's in the year 3001, but he's really in 2010.
Wow, that is a dynamite way to draw that back to the end of that fucking movie.
Yeah, so he's walking around like fucking Obi-Wan, and he's like, look, Disneyland, Epcot Center.
Look, I just got into a fight with a one-armed homunculus, okay? I had to go jackhammer some ice.
The only explanation is I have to blow it all up. And this is where it starts.
Hayden and Amy are talking. They're kind of both watching the sunset, and I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, Rose and Jack are here.
Oh, yeah. He's alternately, like, he's Billy Zane and Leonardo DiCaprio in one guy.
Yeah.
He's playing the best of both worlds.
But he's also, Victor Garber.
Yeah, what? And he's James Cameron all at the same time. And Bill Paxton, for Christ's sake.
Are you telling me at the end of this movie that Granny Van Damme is going to drop a fucking rupee into the ocean?
That's where they have to recover the fucking Van Damme bloodstone at the bottom of the ocean. Well, you think you're not getting this gem, you fucking bastard.
You go look for that jewel and I'll blow you away with this shotgun.
Joke's on you, I've had it the whole time.
Drop my wheelchair in the ocean, please. I want to get a new one.
I want one of them jetcraft things you got going down there.
They just push her overboard and she's like,
Take off your clothes.
They're like, you should probably take yours off, you're gonna sink.
Yeah.
She grows bat wings and flies away for no fucking reason.
That's not how this works. Yeah, she turns into a fucking deadite. See you, fuckers.
Oh, you know, they're talking basically about kind of what we were talking about earlier about how, you know, they broke up because, you know, her father punched him in the face and, you know.
I was gonna say, she was probably like, why did you steal my dad's boat? And he's like, I don't like his stance on mutant kind, okay?
I didn't want him looking over my shoulder for the rest of my life. And she's like, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about us. And then, because we just don't go anywhere with that.
Ming basically calls the fucking Navy, and he's like, yeah, you know, as long as the iceberg doesn't hit the lifeboats, you guys should be okay. The Navy has this fucking submarine, this nuclear sub, and they have this weirdo fucker on the periscope.
This has no point. What is the point of this?
This guy on the periscope literally goes, let's get this cigar smoked.
Yeah, let's get the cigar smoking. And I'm like, what are you talking? Where are you going? Like, they're given coordinates. They're not even told what they're looking for. And they're supposed to go help out the Titanic? Titanic II, excuse me.
Well, yeah, because first Maine is basically saying how, well, they have the lifeboats, so they're going to be okay. And then Patterson's like, well, hold on a minute. Like, these lifeboats, yeah, like, if they're on the surface level, everything should be okay. But, like, there's all this ice in the way that's going to get pushed. Like, these lifeboats, they're going to be fucked if they get in them. And he's like, shit, I got to pass the message on.
Yeah, because, like, within the tsunami, right, he's like, oh, that's okay. Nothing's going to happen. You know, the wave will come and it'll just, like, pass him or whatever. And then he's like, and then the chick's like, but wait a second. You're in North Atlantic waters. You know what's in North Atlantic waters? And he's like, ice. And the fucking wave will push the icebergs into things.
But, like, on board, everyone's like, this ship was designed for impact, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de.
But would the wave just carry these fucking icebergs all the way there? You know what I mean? Or just, like, kind of pass through them like they pass through the ship?
They're moving pretty goddamn fast.
800 miles an hour, to be precise.
There's a lot of bizarre exchanges between, like, Douche McClurg, Hayden, what the fuck his name is, and his, like, commandant, like, the captain of the crew about, like, fucking thrusters and how many engines this thing has, and we haven't broken the engines in yet, and blah 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 blah.
The whole thing is the boat's brand new, and Elmer, because basically they get the call about the national emergency, and they start bringing everybody down to the lower decks, and someone comes to get Hayden to bring him to, like, the captain's quarters, and the captain and this Elmer guy are basically saying, hey, the engines, we can't really just put them up to full speed because they'll fucking break. And Hayden's like, well, if we're going to get hit by a tsunami, like, we need to get the fuck out of here.
Which is actually kind of rational.
For sure. Well, Bruce, like, makes the call to them, and he's like, yeah, you're going to have to go towards warmer waters so there's no ice. And it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Right, because the water's moving at 843 miles per hour, just pushing these fucking icebergs at their boat.
Right.
By the way, that wouldn't just, I'm not a physicist.
Me neither.
But, like, I'm assuming if a giant block of solid matter collides with another giant block of solid matter at 800 miles an hour, it's not going to just kind of cause a slow, destructive sinking.
It's going to break it in half.
It's going to obliterate it.
And that's exactly what happens to this fucking submarine because
it explodes.
1,500 yards, 500 yards. And then this guy on the periscope says something unintelligible. And it hits this fucking iceberg, and the submarine just explodes.
And I buy it because, yeah.
Because, yeah, that's what should happen to the ship. Bruce Davison calls into the fucking, to the Titanic II. He like, tells them what's gonna happen and all that bullshit, and, like, you guys gotta do this and this. And before they really have an argument, Hayden's, like, downstairs in this dance hall, the ballroom, but it looks like a fucking VFW, like somebody's having a birthday party at the firehouse.
Oh, yeah. Like an Elks Club.
Yeah.
There's, like, a few Christmas lights in the background, and, like... Everyone's got some, like, really cheap-looking wine glasses, and there's no visible band.
There's just this big podium.
Are you here to support the local Freemasons? Yeah, me too.
There's, like, trays of mac and cheese on the fucking table on the side.
I'd hate to be the guy in front of that when this fucking boat got hit by the iceberg, because, he's got third-degree burns all over the body.
He's got Velveeta all over his pants.
All over his whole body, really. Before Maine gets on the phone with the captain and Hayden, Maine calls his daughter, and he leaves a message basically saying, hey, Amy, you got to get all the people on the top floor, and you got to make sure you're all, like, in the center of the boat, because if you're at the bottom of the boat and this thing gets hit by an iceberg, everyone's going to die. Meanwhile, everyone's being shuttled into the fucking bottom of the boat.
Which is where all the lifeboats are. Hayden, like, gets word about it, and he's, like, fucking hobnobbing and, like, cheersing fucking everybody that he comes in contact with. And then he, like, tells his right-hand chick to, like, tell everybody what's happening. And she goes up on the microphone and she's like, excuse me, everybody, you're gonna have to, the entire boat of people that's in this fucking ballroom, which is probably over 2,500 or maybe even 3,000, it's probably more than that, exit out of the one door and please go down the elevators to the bottom of the boat. This is just an emergency precaution.
She's making this fucking announcement, and it's showing people like they're walking around the Taj Mahal or the fucking Tropicana like they just got lunch.
Oh, they look like they're about to go cash in their fucking chips. Like, no one looks concerned at all.
No. And again, just to be clear, this looks like a fucking dime store hotel.
So the captain tells the chief engineer to fucking, go full blast with the engines, and they're moving, and then one of the engines burns out, and Hayden starts freaking out, like, just push the rest of them, and the captain kind of gets in his face, and he's like, listen, we got 3 more engines. If you push them, we're gonna be like ducks in the water here. Like, we're gonna be screwed.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, what about the turbines? And I'm like, what about them?
And then this chief engineer just randomly shows up, and he's in, like, 2 other scenes.
Paul McCartney, you mean?
The ship has emergency thrusters as well?
Yeah, and I'm like, how does this all work if you don't, if like, the engines aren't running? Like, all of those things are components to the engine.
This ship has 13 engines and 14 emergency thrusters and 37 rudders, and it has wings that expand in case we need to take flight.
If it has 6 engines in it, this thing should be fucking trucking.
Your trip should be over already.
Yeah, exactly.
When Hayden had this thing built, did he, like, base it off blueprints he got from his father before he passed away, but he forgot to read the part where it said, like, don't actually build this is a joke?
It was a goof.
Okay, when he got the blueprints, was he like, I'm gonna build the greatest gummy ship ever? Like, is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just pieced together out of junk?
I have no idea. Bruce Davison gets on the fucking horn and actually gets through to these people, like, on the Titanic II. And Hayden shows up as he's talking to them. And he's like, you gotta get out of the water. You gotta move into warmer waters. That fucking wave is gonna be there in 15 minutes. And he's like, it's just gonna wash over us, man. It's just a wave, dude. And he's like, no, you don't understand. There's glaciers in the tsunami. And he's like, listen, we have ice detectors that will pick up ice within 500 yards of the ship.
He says it'll pick up an ice cube within 500 feet.
Cool.
And I'm like, ice detectors? What?
Davison goes, this thing's moving 843 miles per hour. 500 feet ain't gonna mean shit.
Why do you have ice detectors?
Exactly.
It's called a fucking pair of binoculars, you colossal group of asshats.
It's called sonar, you fucking idiots.
How are you picking up ice in water that is arguably the same temperature as said ice?
I don't know. That's my point.
Are they serving ice on this boat? Like, did someone get a fucking cocktail and the alarm goes off?
Oh no! Somebody's having a fucking mojito.
The ice has infiltrated the ship.
There's your zombie version. Ice zombie.
That's crazy. That's inside the room. It's reading right, man. Look.
The readings are coming from inside the house.
Carol Kane's like, get out.
Let's go back to someone saying the wave will just wash over us.
This wave is what? 60 feet?
Gotta be, if not more.
Taller than the boat, right? Let's just go crazy. Let's say it's 300 feet.
Sure.
Which is disgustingly large.
It paints a good picture.
You're going to capsize this boat.
No, hardly. Hayden, whatever the fuck. He thinks seemingly that, like, this will work like hole in the wall, where it's just like a boat-shaped, like, crevice will form in the wave and they'll just pass right through it or some shit like that.
Yeah, like Howard the Duck with that fucking flying machine through the train.
Let's say that it doesn't, like, the wave doesn't crash on the boat, but, like, picks it up, right? And now we're on top of this 300-foot wave. When that fucking wave passes them, that ship is gonna drop like a ton of fucking bricks back down to, like, regular sea level.
At that point, it's a large coffin.
Everybody is just going to die.
They're all going to be splattered against the roof of that poor VFW hall and some local janitors to clean them all up.
So then the engines fucking die, and while they're kind of arguing on what to do, this fucking school of icebergs start careening towards them.
Like they have a mind of their own.
Yeah, like it's a pot of whales or some shit.
The icebergs have become sentient, they're self-aware. I have to bring attention to this one shot where it's a collection of shots of, like, I guess, like, the boat's first, like, lean, where people are, like, noticing something's wrong, because it's several shots of confused or bored-looking extras just being told, like, okay, now lean left.
Look scared, look confused. Don't look at the camera, though. Hey, I'm talking to you. Look away.
And there's almost always an extra in, like, the back of a scene that just looks like they missed their cue.
Oh, yeah.
When the chaos finally starts to ensue, like when people are suddenly scared and running for their lives, it's
a whole lot of tripping up the stairs.
It is people slipping on, like,
nothing.
You'd think everyone had their shoelaces tied together in a straight line.
There's a whole lot of invisible banana peels in there.
Yeah, everyone's fucking banana peeling left and right, but it's the same shot of the same staircase and the same VFW floor and the same, like, entrance-exit, like, area.
Most of these shots, there's not enough people to fill the frame out, or, like, it's not framed close enough to make it look like a lot of people.
So you watch, like, 4 people trip per shot, and then it just changes location, and then another 2 people trip, and then it changes again. Just rinse, lather, repeat.
There's nothing around these people, and they just fall on their face.
It looks somehow worse than old-timey Star Trek, oh, the bridge has been damaged, kind of acting does, where everyone's throwing themselves against a fucking stage. At least in those sequences, something is exploding or smoking.
Yeah, but at least their fucking camera's shaking. That's not even happening here. Now, this is before, like, anything is even really happening to the boat. Like, these people are just in a panic.
Oh, yeah, the boat has not yet been hit by said iceberg.
Right, and or wave.
And already, like, the sense of chaos is so underwhelming, you're like, I can't wait to see how this actually builds up.
There is a tsunami.
The tsunami that is going to ravage the northeast of the Atlantic that just never followed up on, by the way.
Like, put it underwater.
It's going to fuck up 2 hemispheres, okay?
Right. So, again, like, how big is this wave? I don't know. Let's just call it 300 feet tall, right? And it's packing a fucking buckshot of glaciers.
Right.
And it's traveling at 800 miles an hour.
843.
843 miles an hour. Western Commander's just like, it's history repeating itself all over again.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then here comes this fucking wave pack and this pot of fucking glaciers. And again, like before we were talking, like, what do you think's gonna happen to this ship, right? It's just gonna get fucking holes blown into. It's just gonna get obliterated, right? No. This glacier hits the side of this boat, smashes right into it. Doesn't even break through it all the way, okay? It just hits the side of it. This thing should have blown this fucking thing in half, and instead it just hits it, doesn't really do any damage, and then rolls underneath the ship and kind of fucks it up. And then the fucking wave just takes the fucking glacier away, and then there's just like a hole in the bow of the ship where all the fucking lifeboats are.
And I wish I had the time to do the math real quick of like what would happen if, I don't know, let's say like how much do you think a small glacier weighs? Like, I don't know, dozens of tons, I would say.
Thousands.
Thousands of tons. Yeah. At 843 miles an hour, we're not dealing with fucking rocks in a stream here. This is a planet-destroying object if it was coming from the sky.
Yes! It might as well be a terrestrial fucking meteor. You know what I mean?
If this fell and hit the center of the country, I think we'd be fucked.
It's like a train hitting a person. You're just not going to be anything left.
Right!
You're going to be jam on the side of the fucking street.
Exactly. So when you think about, like, what happened to the original Titanic, or Titanic I, if you will, it was going how fast when it hit this iceberg? And that fucking thing decimated that ship.
Yeah, it tore a fucking giant hole in the side of it, and then eventually caused it to break in half.
Then after this impact, the guy was like, oh, well, this fucking ship wasn't designed to take a hit on the side. We reinforced the front of it, or some shit. And I'm like...
Yeah, just in case the exact same situation happened. Not the rest of the boat. Just the exact same thing as 100 years ago.
The Titanic originally was traveling at 22 knots per hour when it hit the iceberg. That's 25 miles an hour.
So he said 843 divided by 22.
And it's the whole glacier coming at the side of the ship, by the way.
Oh, this is hilarious.
How is the United States even, like, existing after this?
I don't know.
Let alone the second impact that we're going to get to shortly.
Why are we still so concerned with this fucking boat?
Right? This is like a national emergency.
This is global.
Someone's like, quick, the Titanic's gonna sink. Someone else is like, who the fuck cares about the stupid-ass Titanic? There's gonna be 2 coastlines completely decimated, and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's widespread panic.
Bruce Davison, he's calling the National Guard, he's calling the fucking army in, but, you know, when he called the president about it, he didn't believe in it, so, you know, global warming, what the fuck are you talking? It's all fake. It's fucking a Chinese hoax.
Climate change is a hoax. It's a fucking hoax.
This is the Chinese ambassador, isn't it? You can't have this. You can't pull it all over my eyes.
We're gonna save the forest by raking up the leaves.
Go ahead, send your waves. We'll build a great big wall around the country.
Meanwhile, a tsunami literally hits the fucking White House.
We're gonna build a wall on the shore to block the wave.
With a great big old door so I can come in and out whenever I say.
We're going to install drain pipes in the earth to suck the wave into the middle of the earth.
We're going to build a force field around the country.
We're going to push it back. I'm going to just talk at it and it's going to go away.
Just like the school shooter, I could have stopped it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, the boat gets hit by this fucking iceberg and miraculously just a bunch of people get hurt and a few fall off the side.
Also, like the shot of like supposed carnage got a real big laugh out of me because it's just this somber music set to like a bunch of shots of just random extras lying around going, ow.
There's one lady with a quote-unquote broken leg that we'll get to in a second.
Who's doing the thing where she's just holding her hand over the wound, just shaking her hand like, ooh, it hurts.
Anyway, she's just like, help me.
How? Ooh, my ankle.
And nobody else is around her.
Well, somebody tries to like lead fucking Hayden off the boat to his helicopter and he's about to get on it and he kind of looks around and is like, oh fuck, there's a lot of injured people.
He has a fucking his Nam moment where he just looks out and has his war flashback or where the fuck it is. Like he's like, oh, the people are suffering. It's like it just shows like 6 people like, ah.
Yeah, there's like an old guy like fake coughing and, you know, somebody bumped their arm and they're like, ooh, that hurts. It's smarts.
Then they have like this super unnecessary like side plot where Amy thinks he went on the helicopter.
By the way, while he's making this decision to be a good Samaritan, like Amy is assisting this woman that I was just talking about with the broken leg, right? And like this is the first instance of this woman being a nurse and not knowing what the fuck she's doing because she's just sitting there with her like, oh yeah, you broke your leg, didn't you?
She's not trying to stabilize anything. She's not looking for any sort of extra injuries.
Nope.
She's not examining this woman in any which way. She's not trying to keep her stable. She's just sitting there just hovering over going, ooh, I'm in over my head.
Do you have a handkerchief on you that I could wrap this up with, or what?
The fucking woman with her legs broken is like, don't you have a first aid card? And she's like, it's expired and I didn't pay attention in class.
I'm still in night school. So these dudes like run past her. And instead of being like, oh, help me or whatever, she just looks at them and she's like, are you serious? Like, you didn't even stop.
You're so fucking rude right now.
And then finally, I guess after she sees the helicopter leave and she thinks Hayden is on it, then she finally gets up and takes this woman to wherever.
We go from this shit show to back to Patterson saying, well, you know, that was bad, but now I'm kind of concerned about a follow-up, a super tsunami.
As if the first one wasn't one.
Is this ice shelf like the size of fucking Africa? Like, is that what's gonna happen?
Nah, this one's Delaware. It's a little bit bigger than Rhode Island.
It's Texas.
I love like the levity of handling this like, you know, apocalyptic event.
And there's like 3 people trying to solve this problem.
That's it.
Maine, Patterson, and the fucking pilot.
The greatest minds.
That's because unbeknownst to everyone outside the situation, the rest of the planet is dead.
Yeah, like, you know, after the events of this, they go, you know, they get back to land and it's just like a fucking like 100 feet of just water, just like people dead everywhere.
They get back to the mainland, it's just Charlton Heston screaming at the Statue of Liberty. You blew it up!
It's just him on the Statue of Liberty and everything else is covered in water.
You sank it!
Kevin Costner's there and Dennis Hopper. They're like, where's the map?
And Kevin Costner's like, I'm fine in this. I grew gills overnight.
I'm good. Bye.
She explains this fucking apocalyptic scenario, and Maine's kind of like, oh my god, my fucking daughter, she's still on the boat.
And then there's just like there's a lot of back and forth where these people are okay, this boat is compromised. It is sinking.
Oh, yeah.
Why do we keep trying to use these fucking elevators? How do they even work?
Well, they're doing the whole thing, too, from the original Titanic, where they're like, ladies and children only.
What is that about?
And some fucking, like, Charles Bronson-looking motherfuckers, like, throwing a fit.
There are no children on this set, first of all. And second of all, the one dude is just like, okay, all the ladies in the elevator. I'm like, why aren't we trying to just put people in there as fast as we can? Why are we taking our time to separate people?
Also, this isn't the 1920s. Like, you don't have to have that kind of strange priority. Just get rid of the fucking boat.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just get out of there. What are you, nuts?
Well, they're getting on these lifeboats, and they zoom out to the front to the fucking Titanic II, just birthing these things.
Oh my fucking god. You want to talk about bad effects? That's the worst effect.
Yeah, these were the high-tech lifeboats, not the ones that were fake on the fucking actual boat.
Yeah, the fucking Kids' Choice Awards are fucking going into the water. And they seemingly just stay there. They don't even, like, travel anywhere. They just hang around the fucking boat that's sinking.
Nope, they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it's about to drop. It just dropped. Yeah, apparently the rest of that ice just fell in the water.
Fuck it. John Hurt let the fucking last charge off and it exploded.
They show this giant iceberg with this like horrible like fucking overlay of the ice cracking, and it's just like a mile stretch of this shit just fucking falls off of it.
In complete darkness.
Well, then we go back to Patterson. We go back to the fucking helicopter, you know, one of her only locations in this film.
Yeah.
And Patterson gets a call, and she's just sitting there like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Hangs up. Yeah, it fell. It's a super tsunami. and Bruce Davidson's just like, fuck. How we doing on fuel there, Snipes? He's like, we're almost out. We got to call in a drive-by.
Yeah, he's like, where's the closest one? He's like, I don't know, somewhere in Canada. And I'm like, where is the ship? Where's the ship?
I guess they're in Maine? I don't know.
They have to be somewhere close. For them to go to the refueling station and then, like, back to the ship. But it's not even, like, it's not another ship and it's not, like, land. So they say Canada, but, like, they're still on the ocean and it's, like, a flying refuel kind of thing.
So back to, like, where all the lifeboats are getting boarded. And Amy's getting, like, accosted by this Charles Bronson-looking fuck. And then Hayden comes in from, like, out of nowhere and rescues her. And this guy goes, oh, it's all your fault. And he starts punching this guy in the fucking face. He starts beating Hayden up.
Oh, he fucking biffs him. Looks like Tom Savini or some shit. So he fucking punches Hayden in the face. He's like, it's all your fault, man, brah. And then Amy steps in. She's like, hey, stop that. And he's like, okay. She's like, get on the elevator or whatever.
I'm sorry, my blood sugar's low.
And then you think this guy gets on the elevator.
Yeah, I thought he did.
I thought he did. I thought he went right in there and the fucking doors closed and he went down.
What, did he stop to go take a shit before he got on there?
I don't know. But he's coming back in a little bit.
While this is all going on, by the way, there's this character of the fucking chief engineer that they just decide to have, you know, interspliced throughout this occasionally, who's, like, really not followed up on at all by any character.
Paul McCartney just shows up out of nowhere.
He's fucking running across the ship. I gotta get to the turbines. I can fix this. It's like they didn't build this character up at all. He has one line of dialogue before this, and they're focusing, like, minutes on this guy.
Calm down there, Chekhov. You ain't fixing shit.
He literally comes into the fucking the the bridge of the ship, and it's just like, the turbines, and then leaves the scene. And then he's like running down a set of stairs. He's like, gotta go to the turbine room. And then we don't see him again for like a half hour. And I'm like, why are you going down to the turbine room? The ship is compromised. It's going down.
Yeah, so Hayden and Amy are running off because, Amy's like, oh, my coworker Kelly, I'm trying to get to her.
He's like, let's get out of here. And she's like, she's in the infirmary. And he's like, where's that? And she's like, it's on the last level. It's at the bottom of the ship. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
I have to be the one to crucify this scene real quick, because I'm sure even you two, even anyone who has minimal medical expertise or knowledge, or even anyone who's ever applied a Band-Aid, this is fucking preposterous. And, because I've seen how difficult it is to dress a bandage and how difficult it is to stop bleeding if, you're not really doing a good job, this made my head spin. So they find her and she's being crushed by some debris. Whatever, cool, fine. They pick it up off of her and she's just ambiguously bleeding. I'm not sure where from. I think it's on her shoulder, collarbone, neck area, something.
It's on her chest. I thought she had a punctured lung or some shit. This woman's the nurse, right? So Amy's a nurse. They find her friend and Hayden. They're both on the ground. They're like, oh my God. She's like,
her friend who is also a nurse, by the way.
Right. And she's like, oh, put pressure on it. So he's holding pressure on it. She gets up and goes over to the cabinet and opens the cabinet and is just doesn't even really look through the cabinet. She's like, oh, there's nothing in here. And then she goes back to her friend. She's like, oh, I need a credit card. I just saw a bunch of gauze and all kinds of medical things in that fucking cabinet you just glossed over.
Here's the thing. These people don't need it because they have magic. Because their idea to stop this wound is to take a credit card or a piece, I'm assuming they just need a flat piece of plastic, and just rip up some medical tape, which looked like porous tape. And I gotta tell you, in a situation where there's water coming in, it's not gonna do anything.
Sure ain't.
It's gonna slide right the fuck off you. Even waterproof tape probably ain't gonna help you here. But they lay this fucking debit card over her wound and just tape it over? And they're like, good, you're saved, let's get going. And she gets up and walks away. And I have to ask, where did anyone in this production, be it from the writers or Shane Van Dyke, or one of these actresses or somebody, come up with this? Because they need to be slapped a dozen fucking times.
And was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. It's an old trick I learned in the war. But if you don't have a credit card, you're fucked.
I'd have believed it if someone grabbed a tampon and shoved it in that fucking wound, because that's actually designed to absorb blood and will stop bleeding in some situations.
That kind of makes sense because it's a porous cloth object.
Yeah, Larry David proved that on Curb when he shoved it up his nose when he had a nosebleed.
Was step 3 to find a cautery gun and fuse this to her skin?
Quick, find me a hot glue gun.
Well, they couldn't do that because Hayden's gonna need his black card back later.
Hey, that's American Express business. I need that back for my fucking travel points.
What the fuck was this?
Stupid. Fucking grade A dumb shit. Why?
Stupid. No, because stupid is underselling it. Because this is even nonsensical is underselling it. Because I don't know why anyone would look at that and go, yeah, cool, I can accept that.
But it's and it's taken completely seriously too. It's not a gag. It's not a gag.
It's a logic breaking moment. It's not defying logic. You're breaking the rules of every reality we can conceive right now.
Not only that, but we just bypassed a giant bag of cotton to your right. You know what I mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, not to mention the entire drawer of medical supplies you looked at and said, nothing.
So I wanted to bring that up before that, she gets up first because the second time she's like, give me a credit card. And he it takes him 5 minutes to take this out. And then she's holding it on there and then tells him to go find the tape. And he's like, where's the tape? She should know exactly where all of this shit is, right?
You could have done a better job if you took every piece of tape in that room and just started just wrapping the fuck out of her shoulder.
Right.
You'd have done something a little more productive than just covering it with a piece of plastic.
Literally just taping the tape over the hole in her chest. Who said that was okay? Who was like, yup, sounds great. Perfect. We're going to shoot it this way. And the fact that he, could you imagine being on that set and being like, hey, Shane, this is kind of silly, don't you think?
You're fired.
Yep, that's what I think it is.
Don't you know who I am?
Chitty bang, bang, motherfucker.
Well, we go right from that to the Charles Bronson trying to get on the elevator and getting fucking socked one in the mouth.
Yup.
Which, like, is karma this movie didn't need to dish out.
Oh, I was into it. I was pretty happy about that, honestly.
I was totally into it, too.
Well, I mean, it's more exciting than all the fucking disaster stuff.
Right, but like,
around
I
it.
thought this guy was on the elevator and gone already. He seemingly jumps out of the shadows and grabs this dude, and he's like, motherfuck, and he just fucking he just knocks this dude out.
Yeah, he takes 2 goes at this guy. He's like, there you are again.
So then we get, because this fucking riveting plot point, we go back to the engineer fucking stumbling around trying to like hold on to like the side of a fucking banister while people slide past him.
Doesn't he get hit in the face at one point? He's like, oh.
Yeah, he gets inside and gets nailed.
We just linger on this guy holding his nose for like a solid 2 minutes, and then it just cuts to him walking down some stairs to go to the turbine room of the half of the ship that's already sunk underwater.
Somehow, Hayden, Amy, and Kelly end up in a fucking elevator because they can't get into the stairwell for whatever reason.
It's locked. The doors to the stairs are locked, but the elevators are fucking in perfect shape, even though the boat is like on a goddamn fucking 90-degree angle.
Well, yeah, because right as they're about to get in this fucking elevator, randomly, I don't really even understand how this happens other than the fact that the boat's tipping over.
Mind you, there's no passengers. They're all gone, I guess.
It cuts to the captain, who I guess is just going down with the fucking ship.
Yes, he is.
He has to because it happened in the first movie, so...
It happened in real life.
History repeats itself again. Here I am. See you in hell, Redfield.
Well, he's talking to Maine, and he looks like he just drank a bottle of scotch. And then just randomly an explosion happens. And I say explosion, but really it's just a room with like a bright light.
There is a healthy-sized explosion that happens in the center of this ship that assumingly originates from the core of this boat.
Right.
It looks like it happens from the engine room itself, because it shows some, like, machinery or nonsense or pistons, and then, like, that's where this explosion is superimposed onto this fucking background.
The boat is non-existent anymore. If it was already sinking before, this explosion has blown the boat in half, and both halves are being rapidly filled with water. They're going to sink. People are burned. They're fucking dead from the impact. Nobody should still be alive.
Don't you love how it's easier to accept in any movie when a car explodes by bumping into something? But this movie has 19 disasters lay on top of each other, and each one is worth ripping apart logistically.
Because they're too over the top for it to make any sense.
Yeah, it's not like it's some fart of an explosion. It is like, skyscraper sized.
It's enormous.
You would see this explosion from New York.
Yeah.
It was a mushroom cloud over the ocean. What's that big shadow?
And, like, literally the only point of this is just to kill the captain, some, like, tertiary characters, and so that the elevator that fucking Hayden, Amy, and Kelly are in stops as a fireball zooms towards it.
Just by the way, so the Cap was on the phone with Bruce, and Bruce was like, don't put people on the lifeboats, the death traps. Keep them on the fucking whatever. Don't put them in there.
And this guy's probably sitting there thinking, well, I already put them all on the lifeboats, Bruce. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, appreciate it. See you later, explosion. I'm dead.
Bruce, the boat blew up. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I'm dead in an explosion now.
We finally get this fucking Top Gun refill on the fucking helicopter. Line it up with the goddamn other fucking plane.
Exactly. I thought they were landing in Canada or some shit, or like on a fuel carrier or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, not like somebody flew out to them to fuel them up. Like what?
This is the point in the movie where like they know that this other the super tsunami is coming, but they show the tsunami coming towards them as they're refueling. But they do this thing where basically it's just a black wave coming towards them where you can't really see how far away it is. It's just filling the entire screen.
It's just pitch dark.
And I kind of like it, on paper at least. I don't know if it really works in the context of the film, but I like the idea of that.
If you film that right, you could create something that would
be terrifying.
Yeah, you mean like The Perfect Storm?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when they do it really, really well? Yeah, not this movie.
Well, apparently the pilot of the other plane doesn't see it because you watch as they refuel at the last possible second, and this helicopter literally leapfrogs this fucking tsunami.
He's like, pull up!
Yeah, the other airplane just gets engulfed and blows up.
It blows up! Like the fucking wave is made out of cement!
Yeah, this plane would disappear at best. Also, it would have been fantastic if when the helicopter like leapfrogged this wave, it had the Mario jump sound. Bling! Somewhere after this explosion, we go back to the boat, and there's more shots of carnage, but it's just It's just like shots of extras being really awkward.
They're in the elevator and they're trying to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do. And I don't know if Amy calls her dad or her dad calls her.
Yes!
Well, she gets her cell phone from the fucking infirmary where she had left it earlier in the movie when they save her friend. He tells them basically like, yeah, the lifeboats are a fucking death wish. You're better off just staying kind of in the middle of the boat if you can. And they tell him, oh, yeah, we're in an elevator. And he's sitting there just fucking blank stare. Okay, I'll get to you somehow.
This is the plot point where he's like, get to the diving facility on the ship and make sure you get some, like a wetsuit and like a, an air, like scuba gear.
And he basically goes to Hayden like, you showed me how to be a man once, show it to me again. Whatever that implies.
I don't know.
Help my daughter, I guess.
You're really impressed with when you let me punch you that one time.
Remember that time you took my boat, you scumbag? So like he's like, yeah, get to the diving the dive locker. Hayden's like looking around and he's like, oh yeah, where is that again? And he looks up and he's like, yeah, I know where that is.
He goddamn well better know where it is. He built the fucking thing.
Yeah, I know, but like this room is on a higher deck than the fucking infirmary is. What are you talking about?
And somewhere along the way, Hayden gets a fire axe?
Well, it's in the elevator, and they make a point of showing it when this fucking fireball goes off, where he fucking crashes his head into the fucking thing.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, an axe, I found it.
And like at some point, to make it easier to transport, he's like tucking it into the back of his shirt. I'm like, you want to be decapitated is what you want.
There's no fucking way your thin-ass button-up shirt is gonna fucking hold this 20-pound axe to your back so you can climb a fucking ladder.
Not unless you're stuffing it also into your pants, which at that point, like, you're not running anywhere.
Right. You're better off, like, putting it into, like, your belt.
Right, because they go through, like, the ceiling hatch and the elevator and they climb the ladder.
And then at some point, like, a door won't open or some shit like that, isn't it?
Again, what is with these doors? He says something like, the door isn't supposed to open this way. It's supposed to open towards us, but it like, won't open.
It is literally there just because they wanted a scene of him, jamming that axe in there.
Yeah.
And Amy trying to squeeze through, and then she barely makes it, and then Kelly, who's already on death's door, just pushes her through, and then the fucking door collapses on her and kills her.
Yeah, but she becomes a fucking doorstop because Hayden fucking slips right through and he's like, I guess she had to die. Well, see ya.
The secret is he pushed her, but
I'm so sorry your friend Carrie had to die. Kelly, yeah, that's her name.
Also, the only water that's filling up in any of these scenes is just like somebody turned a sprinkler on off screen and it's just like dripping on the floor a little bit.
Especially this next scene because they're like, they get into this other room and they're like running around, I guess, trying to find this dive locker. And there's just like a literal like half an inch puddle on the floor.
Yeah, not even.
Yeah, and like I'm supposed to believe this is like the bottom of the ship, isn't it?
And like they're like walking like it's like this, like it's hard to get through. And it's just like, it's like somebody just like pouring a water bottle out from like the ceiling.
Then there's exposed wires in the ground that have now caused a different kind of hazard that seemingly replaces the previous one.
They have this fucking, what would you say, like 50-foot stretch of just water where there's this live wire touching it?
Well, here's the thing. It's not even like an inch of water, and like this live wire is in it, so it's electric. It's
gonna electrocute them if they touch it. In theory,
it'll electrocute them if they touch it.
Hayden's even like, well, I don't know if I will get electrocuted, but I'm not gonna try.
Yeah, so I don't know the logistics of that. So it's not ground. How does that work?
I don't know. Maybe you could get electrocuted. The thing that got me was his fucking plan was to jump in the air and fucking monkey bar across on this pipe. You know how much fucking upper body strength that would take?
No, I know.
Well, since we know nothing about his character, we didn't know he was an American Ninja Warrior winner, so of course he can do this.
Like, no problem either.
Well, he shimmies across.
Yeah, he shimmies across this thing like a fucking champion.
Well, then Amy says, well, I can't do it. I can't jump high enough. He's like, come on, you could do it. And I'm sitting there thinking, that wire's about 15 feet, if not like less than that away from you. Can't you just kind of like reach it?
He could grab it. He could if he wanted to.
Grab a broomstick and just push out of the way.
Yeah, or just pull it out of the way because it's like all insulated from the outside. Just grab it.
Well, he convinces her to finally jump up and come across, but she makes it like halfway and gives up like Harry and Marvin fucking Home Alone. And he literally jumps back up and starts walking over to her and I guess like coaxing her to make it across. Like he doesn't actually help her really.
No. Okay, she's slipping off the pipe. Okay? And he jumps up and he's like, I'm coming over to help you. I'm going over to help you. Her one hand is about to slip off and he's holding onto the pipe with one hand. She's holding onto the pipe with one hand and he grabs her with his other free hand and grabs the hand that slips off. And then he seemingly just like pushes her hand back up to the pipe and she magically fucking has a good grip on it now?
Fishman did better in fucking bushwhack crossing that bridge than this woman did.
I would have trusted those kids to have come up with a better survival plan than anybody I've seen in this movie so far.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Bless those little scouts.
Other perilous situation, and like I said, they've seemingly erased the water that was coming in the room. You never see or hear about it again.
Nope, because they got to the checkpoint and it saved, and then that water just disappeared.
Oh, they got a time bonus. Okay.
Well, yeah, they had to put a bow on this fucking chief engineer storyline.
They're at the dive facility door, so Hope is right in front of them. All of a sudden, they hear a fucking knocking sound, like an ambiguous knocking sound. It literally could have been anything. And they're like, "Do you hear that? Somebody's still alive. Well, we gotta go save him." At that point, you just got through two death-defying things. One of your friends just died. It literally could be anything. That person could be on the verge of death as we speak. Wouldn't you just be like, you know what? Let's just make sure we save our ass right now.
You know what? He won't live to tell people that I didn't hear him.
Because not only that, but they don't know where the sound is coming from, and they're seemingly walking down these hallways to figure it out.
Yeah, they're just losing time.
Yeah, investigating strange sounds should not be on your list of priorities.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So he's banging on this door, and he gets to the door. He's like, it's coming from here, and he's like, the fucking door's hot. And we cut to fucking Paul McCartney with a bunch of shit dropped on him, and there's a big fire in this fucking room, and he's like, help, help. And the guy's like, you gotta get out of the way. I can't open the door, whatever. And he's like, his dialogue is literally just like,
and then he just dies.
He just dies. And now I'm thinking to myself, so this is the guy from before who was running down to the turbine room. So now my gears are going in my head, and I'm like, this motherfucker caused that explosion.
Yeah, trying to fix it.
He went down there and he fucked with a turbine and blew up the ship.
Scotty, he is not.
The dilithium crystals fucking melted and exploded on this motherfucker. So Hayden's like, it's my fault. I killed him.
It's my fault. This guy I didn't know, nor could I see, died behind a door I couldn't open.
And then Amy goes, actually, it kind of all is your fault because you built this boat.
You wanted the insurance money and you got your wish.
He's like, this is why we're out together, Amy, okay? Because you're so goddamn honest. So they get into the fucking diving room, right?
Yeah, they get to the diving room and so they get into this locker that's made out of wood.
By the way, there's only one fucking diving suit, and I guess Amy's putting it on, but she's got to strip down to her undies first.
He's running her through the fucking dive suit. He's like, put on the wetsuit. Okay, now here's your scuba gear and shit. And he's like, look, turn on this fucking beacon that's built into all of the fucking diving suits. That's like a lost diver beacon or some shit that apparently transmits over all of the Coast Guard sonars or whatever the fucks.
I mean, it'd be nice to have, but the rest of the world is dead, so.
So yeah, after that, the fucking super tsunami hits. And first they show all these people with life rafts on or life vests on. They're like, oh, someone help us, someone help us.
They're just floating in the water.
And then this fucking tsunami hits this fucking boat. And like I said earlier, it's just this giant black wave, this 600-foot wave just overcomes the fucking boat.
It's just a black screen it's just a black nothing. I couldn't even see what was happening.
No.
Yeah, I had no idea what this was for a second.
All you really need to know is that the boat tips over literally upside down, and I'm sitting there wondering where the fuck Jack Sparrow is to help them out.
This boat is upside down.
Nobody's alive.
Nobody's alive, okay?
The lifeboats are all destroyed, by the way.
Not only that, we're not on the ceiling.
Yeah, inside everything's fine.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, everything is right side up inside because the water's filling up regularly and everything is it's just nice as pie in there.
Yeah, the only negative thing is that a fucking cabinet falls on the door that they're inside.
And he can't push it open.
This is the only moment in the movie where there is for these two anyway, where there's actual physical peril, because it's the only shot in the movie they could seemingly afford to fill a room with water.
Here's my question, and I have to jump ahead a tiny bit just to make this point. Bruce Davison, in a few minutes, pushes this cabinet away when it's totally submerged.
He sure does.
Well, he's covered in diving gear.
How the fuck between the two of them inside this cabinet could they have not have leaned up against the back of it and just used both their legs to push this fucking thing off of it?
They could have.
Hayden probably didn't want to live with the guilt of having somehow caused an unforeseeable biblical natural disaster, so he killed himself via drowning.
That is more credit than you should be giving this fucking guy.
But to go back a little, Bruce Davison is on this fucking helicopter. He's putting on his fucking Splinter Cell diving suit. He's having some really bizarre dialogue with that girl in the helicopter, because she's talking to him and he's just going, yup, going in, Bye.
He's like, hold this rope. It's 1,000 feet. She's like, well, what if you got to go more than 1,000 feet? He's like, then let go. I guess I'm dead.
He says it like, shut up, you idiot. That means I'm dead. Leave. Stop asking questions.
This was like his last scene he had to film, I feel like.
And the rest was all stunt double?
Yeah.
Well, right after he jumps in the water, like, Snipes is like literally like within seconds of this guy hitting the fucking water. I'm about to lose control of the helicopter.
We're out of fuel, he says.
You just refueled.
I guess because that fucking 600-foot super tsunami came, they didn't have enough time to get a full refill.
But yeah, he's basically like, you may want to vacate the premises. She's like, why? He's like, because we're kind of about to die.
She grabs a life raft, throws it in the water. She's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. And she jumps in.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. How about the second she's safe, he fucking just crashes into the water and dies.
Seemingly intentionally, like she jumps, he's like, oh, thank God for that. Just fucking careens into a fucking piece of debris.
He fucking jacks this joint, the controls to the helicopter and fucking just drives himself into the fucking ocean.
Well, you know, he knew that his fucking wife and kids were all dead from the tsunami. Had nothing to live for.
Bruce Davison starts his fucking descent into this fucking boat. Meanwhile, this like tiny room that looks like they're in an elevator shaft or like a small container.
They're in the closet, in the diving thing.
And they're having a back and forth about like, I guess there's only one oxygen tank?
Right, yeah. There was only one suit and one tank in there.
Hayden's like, well, I either freeze to death or I have no oxygen, so I guess just leave me here. And I guess this to me seemed like their super lazy, uninspired way of replicating only one person can fit on the door.
Oh, you think?
But he gave every fucking possible scenario of how they won't be able to get out of there with one wetsuit and one scuba tank. He was like, well, even if we get out of here and, and I don't die of hypothermia, there's only enough air for a half an hour for you, and I'm going to die of hypothermia anyway because I don't have a wetsuit, and I'm going to drown before I have hypothermia. You know, he like fucking says like 10 different fucking scenarios.
And if I make it out of here, your dad won't let me date you, so better just leave me here.
Or if I get out of here alive and you're dead, your dad's definitely not going to let me date you.
Your dad'll kill me.
Dad just breaks his neck underwater. It's like, yeah, I couldn't save either of them.
Oops.
He drowned. I saw it happen. It was awful. There's like lots of shots of dad swimming, like first of all, he's swimming in a green screen.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, and the boat's sunk by now. They make a point to say, like, oh, if it goes below 60 meters, you're going to get crushed. He's like, I'll keep an eye on it.
It's completely submerged.
Yeah, he's swimming across these very, very funny-looking flat backgrounds. So he eventually finds them, and, like, in this closet, it's...
Yeah, like, right after Hayden fucking drowns to death.
Yeah, he, like, just dies.
Super Dad pushes this locker out of the way with, like, one hand, and then, like, pulls his daughter out, or, like, she gets out, and then he grabs Hayden's corpse.
Well, he says something like, well, if I drown, they can maybe resuscitate me. Maybe if you were dead for, like, 30 seconds?
Problem is, this ship is underwater. He is a popsicle, and he has lost consciousness. His brain will now be deprived of oxygen for at least 10-ish minutes.
Oh, yeah, he's brain dead, for sure.
Yeah, so they get him onto this life raft, and the fucking ending of this movie is just it's just her trying to resuscitate Hayden, and I really thought he was going to go and pop back to life, at which I would have thrown my laptop across the room.
I thought for sure he was coming back.
Instead, it keeps just hilariously cutting back to his waterlogged corpse.
She does give him CPR for, like, what feels like an eternity.
And her dad's like, okay, well, he's dead.
No. You're wrong. She doesn't give this man CPR. She keeps leaning over and grabbing him and kissing him romantically because she's not even doing the CPR correctly. She's a fucking nurse. She's not holding his nose and, like, blowing into his mouth. She keeps, like, grabbing his chin and, like, making out with him, and then, like...
Also, movie CPR, I have to say, is infuriating every time you watch it, because, like, if you're doing CPR correctly, you'll break somebody's ribs.
Well...
and then I guess she finally realizes that there's no hope of bringing him back, and she goes in for, like, one more kiss, and she just whispers, thank you.
And then it fucking... Some really, really bad 3D model helicopters show up, and for, like, literally, like, 2 seconds, and then we just cut to fucking credits.
So... There was like 5 survivors of this whole thing. Who are these helicopters for?
I don't know. Like, the army showed up late, like, hey.
There's like the people that went on Hayden's helicopter, and then fucking Bruce Davison, his fucking daughter, Patterson. That's it. Everyone else died.
It seems more like a bunch of like randos who weren't associated with the situation. Like, we're just doing, like, they're on their way back to somewhere. They're like, what the fuck happened here?
Oh yeah, they were on their way to actually try to go save people from like the impending doom that's coming towards them.
Yeah, from the impending coastal apocalypse.
Well, that's what they're actually for. That's my thought, too.
Yes, but they made a pit stop and they were like, hey, anybody alive down there? Titanic II.
They got a life raft. We'll come back from later. We have bigger problems. The East Coast is engulfed.
And that's Titanic II.
Titanic II TM, guys. Where are we putting this?
This is irrefutably a dumpster movie.
Yup.
It's nowhere near as laughably... Okay, here's the thing. I don't like movies that are made intentionally too, like ironic bad. Like, I don't respect Sharknado because they know full well what they're doing.
No.
However, like, something like... This is an extreme example. Like, The Room is lightning in a bottle because everyone involved in that was sincere, and that was a supposedly actual effort from a man and his friends to make a fucking movie.
Correct.
I thought this was going to be something like that, where this was so lovingly inept that it would have some kind of joy and charm to it, but it is kind of fucking dull. But then when it's not being dull, it is brain-crushingly stupid. And there's not a single likable person in the movie. They're barely people. They're basically just a bunch of faces that move along the plot, which is almost non-existent. And it also has a dreadful ending. This goes in the bottom of the fucking dumpster where Sean has all that garbage congealed over and fucking, all that stuff down there I don't want to touch. I didn't hate this, but like, God, it's useless and has just no point to it. That's where it is. It's a fucking dumpster.
Okay. I mean, we talked about this briefly in the beginning. Well, first of all, it's in the fucking dumpster, straight up. I don't need this film. It's not even fun in like an ironic way, because it's like made with sincerity to the point where it's a competent movie that really tries real fucking hard to be something that it's just not. And when I think of Asylum, I don't associate it with something like this. Like, I associate Asylum with like giant fucking cobra versus Komodo dragon island.
This aired on the Sci-Fi Channel, and like that alone should tell you like, oh, this is gonna be some like popcorn garbage, and it's just not.
No, it's like, obviously it's like laughably bad, but like it seriously thinks it's this like highbrow action movie. And it totally is not. The CGI the CGI and the compositing in this film are some of the worst shit that I've ever seen, and like it's like things to be embarrassed about. Like, what? I don't know. Again, like I was saying too, like you have the nepotism there, where like, you have this person who comes from this long line of actors and actresses and like wealth and like notoriety in the industry, that is just like putting a fucking stain just because he thinks he wants to make movies. You know what I mean?
And he's still doing it too. That's the thing.
Yeah, and people keep fucking buying him, and like, I guess there's something to be said for that, but they gotta, like, what? They gotta just break even, right? On each one, just about.
Probably.
Like, there's gotta be some pool of money that he just keeps taking out of to do this because he just wants to do it.
Or he's got some kind of like tax shelter, like fucking Uwe Boll did, and they're somehow making money back.
There's no fucking way, because if I started making shitty movies tomorrow and just cranking them out and churning them out, there's no fucking way that I'd be able to sustain that. And I'm just thinking about all those things. So yeah, like Connor said, like, some of the stuff in this is like hilariously laugh out loud bad, but like it's not presented in a way where it's offensive to me in like as far as like being bad on purpose. It totally takes itself seriously, and I'll give it credit on that. Because these people think they're making a really good film, but yeah, right in the fucking dumpster with this boy. Don't need it.
It's a dumpster movie. I think that kind of goes without saying, and you guys have kind of said that already. But I have my own personal spin on this that may blow your minds. I did not think this was as bad as House of the Dead.
No, I agree with that.
No, it's not.
It's not even as bad as Bunraku.
No, I'll agree with that too.
I don't like it, but I fucking laughed a lot watching it. So, I'm going to take this fucking, I'm going to take the Keaton fucking Titanic. We'll just say this is like the Lego fucking version that Connor was talking about earlier in the episode. And I'm just going to take that on its maiden voyage into the fucking dumpster. and it's gonna hit a fucking dirty diaper and just crash right down to the middle of the fucking dumpster, and that's where it's gonna live.
Oh man.
Because I mean, this probably should be the bottom of the dumpster, but for me, there was enough silly shit in it that I kind of liked that I feel like it's a middle of the road dumpster movie, which still means it's very bad.
Honestly, I think if it was close to being as bad as House of the Dead, there'd be some level of charm to it, but it's just not there.
Yeah, but I don't know. The stuff with fucking Bruce Davison just kind of staring off blankly into the distance for 90 minutes, and this guy basically writing and directing himself as this lady killer with the fucking money, and he's the hero of the whole movie. It's just
Who wrote himself into a hero's death.
Yeah.
He's so far up his own ass, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's a middle of the dumpster movie for me. I probably will never watch it again, but honestly, if it came on the Sci-Fi Channel and I had a couple of friends over and we were all having some brewskis, I'd fucking leave it on for some background noise and, point up at it every once in a while. Say, hey, look at this guy.
Watch Davison not look at anybody when he talks to them. Look at him, there he goes.
Look at this plane refuel. This guy's name's Snipes, by the way.
It wasn't like offensively bad. I didn't watch this. Never did I watch this and roll my fucking eyes. I either laughed or I was just kind of bored.
It's definitely not a totally boring film, but it's also just not well done. So it's kind of just like you get that middle of the road shit where it's like, yeah, I know this is a made-for-TV movie, so like I kind of got to give it a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but even with that said, it just still a dumpster movie.
There was one gripping part, and that was when they were in the fucking locker, and for a moment there, I kind of felt something because, like, she's got the scuba suit on and she's just watching this guy die.
I mean, she did more than Rose did.
This is true.
No, you can't have my door.
She tried to. She offered it.
My parents can't know I dance with a poor boy.
Did you guys watch the post-credit scene? It's Granny Van Dam throwing the fucking thing over the edge.
No, she emerges from the water with the necklace in her teeth.
I'm back, motherfuckers. I'm gonna set the timeline straight.
I'm gonna buy my own castle.
So that's it. That's Titanic II from 2010, directed by Shane Van Dyke.
Hey, everybody, if you want some more bad movie goodness, you can check us out at moviedumpsterpodcast.com.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Android, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, or Podbean, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review if you dig the show, because it helps us get out of the bottom of the dumpster into more eardrums.
Yeah, and if you're on the social medias, you can follow us at Movie Dumpster on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
I'm Connor McGraw.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.
As long as we don't touch the wires and our feet aren't on the ground, we won't be electrocuted. Right?
I don't know.
You're a nurse.
I'm not an electrician. I don't know.
Well, there's only one way to find out.